yet for it, but I just,
Yeah.
that I haven't got my statement yet. Details. Yeah, exactly. So,
I've seen some of the other invoices that it tells you right on the bottom, these are not part of the 4 digits, so you'll know what's yours.
okay.
That's ours at 1704.
1704, okay. Well, they were gonna send me the bill to my email just to confirm, and then I never got it, so. Maybe.
Not really. Money because of the carry.
That was 10 years ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, looking forward to.
Oh, yeah, Carrie was at
The smokes.
the holiday.
Fires. So we're not gonna-
Well, the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. You put it in once and then it's.
On short wings.
Yes.
But it's gonna be a tough year.
Yeah. Need a lot more rain.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, he was-
I thought there was only 3. And they said they have 4 rooms. I'm like, well, okay.
About.
Are there checks for me to sign? Do you want me to start signing?
Every 50 years, other takes it. This old forest stuff. This is a part
Yeah, there you go. Just think about
for the animals and
Yeah.
stuff.
it. Check mark names and all the other, yeah, permits.
Where to fire. Oh, Duff.
That the correspondence about resale.
We got chased into a swamp the other night with an open field.
Anytime.
Steve, when were we in the forest fire around here? Was that about 15, 18 years ago?
Sorry.
The forest fire.
Over here? Yes.
Oh, 15, 18 years ago, right?
Oh, geez, yeah.
Maybe a little longer.
Are you talking about Mrs. Duffy? 3 minutes.
No, that was before that. That was another one. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
We had,
Yeah.
we had deer and rabbit.
Water bottle.
Yeah, oh, you're the three water bombers.
Got stuck in it.
We got stuck, we got nailed by a couple of tons of water.
Yeah.
We grabbed a tree. Oh, no
Did
kidding.
not know. Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time.
We're missing somebody. So for Lauren, I said in 3 minutes, you're changing seats. She'll be in. Look, I'm running at 100 miles an hour with 30 seconds.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Hopefully that will-
Choice on church there, Greg. Yeah. Someone had a daughter. Up and move the clock up 15 minutes. Comes in.
Always the early.
Oh, she like remembers her at 5.
6 o'clock,
This
yeah.
is only our second meeting in 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
We still thinks it's 6 o'clock.
Could be.
Oh, it looks like it did go on your card.
Okay,
Just checked.
okay.
Oh, that's our
They
second.
didn't send me a receipt or anything like that. Okay.
I was gonna say, it's a second meal that we eat, that, order as you go or something like that, gets delivered from Toronto. Meals,
What was that?
oh, meals to go,
Okay,
you deliver them from Mississauga, you order a week ahead, you give enough, you see, like, 4 nights. So it's $14 a meal,
Jeez.
they got chicken, they got pork, you got,
Okay.
tonight we had turkey chili.
did you go to the Phenom presentation, the evening celebration?
You
Oh,
didn't win the cooler,
what's that?
you didn't win the cooler.
I was gonna go.
Yeah.
But My stomach decided something different.
We must have, were you staying at Super 8? Okay, I was in the Holiday Inn.
They were in the good rooms.
Yeah, it was.
No. It's good for you to sit and be in the Super 8.
Well, the place was packed. It was full of the conference just sold out. It
Yeah. That's great. It was a great,
was good. It
great,
was excellent,
a
yeah.
lot of good learning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go. Out here, let's break her open. It was wait 15 minutes, is that what the procedural bylaw is, or we take over?
The mayor?
I think it's 15 minutes.
Well, we wait 15 minutes if we don't have quorum, but we've got quorum, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Did I ask who won the curling this year? Did I ask who won the curling this year?
The,
You should start right from here too, so. You should have reached out, it's gonna be late.
Procedural.
listen to that, it's on the road.
I just think deputy mayor shall act from time to time in the place.
Yeah.
It's only if.
Huh?
Or either of them are away, then they pass a resolution. Right?
Yeah.
You go in Friday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Roger and Raymond going on Thursday.
Can I just do it from here? Or
Yeah.
you don't have to sit
No,
on
we
it.
got still got cold beer.
That's good. I found a great place to eat on Sunday.
Thanks.
Holiday Inn.
So we'll call the meeting to order at 5:02. And we'll have the adoption of the agenda.
The seconder, please. Agenda presented to council and dated the 14th day of May 2024, be offered as prepared.
All in favor? And then accepting of the minutes.
And the seconder, please. Minutes of the regular council meeting of April 9th, 2024, be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? Any business arising from the minutes? Councillor Trahan?
And other business, just advising the cleanup day was another success. And that myself and Kim will be out this Saturday to hand out the prizes to the people that participated and brought their download their photos to the municipality website. So another successful year. We really appreciate the residents getting out there and partaking in the cleanup day. And yeah, it was really good. Good.
All right. And how do you say your name again?
Trahan.
Trahan.
If you're French, it's Trahan.
Trahan? Okay.
It's, if you can just say it, it's Trahan.
Trahan. Okay.
All right.
What did I say?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
What's in my last name?
All right. Trahan. All right, let's go.
286 people. The landfill site, 286.
I didn't get a final count of landfill site now. 280.
Okay, that's great.
But that was for Amnesty Day, so, yeah. All right, any other business arising from minutes? Okay. Declaration of conflict or pecuniary interests. I'm going to be declaring on 10A. And I've already filled out the form, so the property in question is close to my property and may affect my property values, so. All right. Chair's comments. I think there's been a successful cleanup day, Amnesty Day, dump day, and also we had the flea market and goods exchange day. So any comments from the goods exchange, leaving items out? Did I saw lots of Facebook posts and things like that, so that seemed to be quite successful. So important because we want to divert everything we can away from our landfill site. So that's really important. So thank you for everybody for participating. All right. Delegations to council. So Evan, would like to come up?
Kevin, do you want to run your presentation or?
If I could.
Yeah, so you've got a clicker, I'll put it on.
You might have to turn, I think on the side, I don't know.
There we go. Let's see it. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, council, for having us here today. And it's really a follow-up to the presentation I made to council in February regarding plans for capital investment at the Curling Club. What I want to do today is just take you through a quick review of things we're planning. And since that February presentation, we've been working with Greg, looking at other options regarding the arena facility. Talk about the status of our funding application, and then look at the next steps and answer any questions hopefully. So really our proposed plans for the Curling Club consist of sort of two major project initiatives. One is the on-ice curling environment and the upgrades within the clubhouse itself. So the on-ice upgrades involved installing dehumidification and improved heating in the playing area, replacing the carpeting on the walkways around the perimeter of the playing area, replacing the plastic fabric ceiling, putting in proper vapor barrier and ceiling, and consolidating our ice maintenance equipment into one area on the ice surface. In-house, in the clubhouse area, we're looking to modernize the lounge area and have a larger floor space. We want to replace and relocate our existing washrooms with a single universally accessible washroom facility and install wheelchair lifts for entry into the club and onto the ice surface. So following the presentation in February, like I said, we talked to Greg, and we've had issues in the past with respect to the roofing membrane on the Curling Club's had some leaks. Patching has been, we don't know if it's been successful. We still have leaks. The roof itself is, Greg tells me, probably 25 years old on the arena and the Curling Club. And Greg received 2 quotations for the membrane replacement. First being an area just encompassing the Curling Club, and the second price encompassing both the Curling Club and the arena. Those prices were $25,000 for the Curling Club area and approximately $2,000 fire structure. So with all of our options, I've laid out 3 options here. Option 1 is basically where we were not including any repairs. And that came up to $555,000. If we did option 2 included roof replacement just over the Curling Club area, that brings the total project up to $640,000. And if we look at the entire structure, it takes us up to nearly $250,000.
Kevin, who's doing the engineering?
We haven't done anything yet. This is just an estimate for the facility grant application. So, again, three options. I've put in HST onto all of these prices. So that increases the cost significantly. Now, the NOHFC grant application that we're looking to proceed with will cover up to 75% of the project cost to a maximum of 500,000. So if we work down through option one, anticipating perhaps a grant of 460 thereabouts, the curling club has voted at our last meeting to commit to $55,000 of our own resources, which we have. And that would leave a municipal contribution of nearly $100,000. Similarly, if we move through the options that include partial or full replacements, municipality's contribution, that's sort of to 168 or 287. So we do have an application in front of us under the NOHFC Rural Community Enhancement Program. The phase one of that application is just about ready to go, but I guess we need to sort of tie down this where the municipality is with respect to the roofing. So hopefully if we can get some direction here in short order, we'd like to get that application in late May or late June.
Is there a timeline for this? The application?
No, there's no window of application. The intake is throughout the year.
Trillium has a,
The Trillium does
Has an
have
intake,
intakes.
NOHFC is open all year, yeah.
Who's writing the grant?
I've been doing that, so in conjunction with, we have an advisor within Chelsea that's been assigned. She's been helping it out. She's done her first draft of it. The application in her mind was good. No, it worked in two phases, that grant application. So this first phase is just an eligibility requirement, which she seems to think we meet all the requirements that we're looking for. And then the second phase, once we're deemed eligible, we'll be putting some serious backing to the financial numbers and so forth. And that application process, I understand, the approval process will take likely to 5 to 6 months. So I think we'd be looking at an answer on the grant application would probably be late fall. And not likely seeing any expenditures of any significant form this year at all.
We haven't talked about it as a whole council, but if it's something that looking at the options, and again, we haven't talked to staff either. If there's a project that's gonna go onto the arena side of it also, and we can benefit out of any of that, out of the grant money, then we should probably have somebody look it over for the grant writing part of it, so just not.
Yeah, no,
It's
I've been
good.
working with, right?
Yeah,
As far as
we have some people that are really versed of knowing how to write these grants and
Yeah.
and capturing quite a bit of money, because we've done that mostly through COVID. We did quite well in capturing a lot of grant money. So that's why I asked that, and that's why I thought maybe we should be step it up a little bit here to get the people that knows how to really dig deep on them and write them up. So maybe we can help you out on that.
So really, as far as our next steps, I I guess what we're looking as to seek a council resolution as to a preferred option. And a commitment worded somehow to commit to that funding, because that's one of the things the grant application is looking for is a commitment, and I guess a resolution would satisfy that aspect. So we would then be able to finalize and submit that phase one application. And if it's deemed eligible, then we'll be having to put together the phase two aspect of the application. And if the grant funding is approved, move forward to the engineering portion that we would have to do and so forth. Do the work in likely 2025 and based on without disrupting the currency. These are just contacts. Kyle, who's in the audience, is president of the Burn Club. And myself, I'm a captain and we can next. So, any questions?
So I guess I can't speak first. Counselor, sorry, Counselor Champagne.
I know the curling club was in dire straits about 7 or 8 years ago, and you guys come a long ways. As far as volunteers to make this happen, the way the club has turned around. I'm not sure what your numbers were last year, but they're quite significant, and you have more teams, and take my hat off to you. Again, as far as the grant application, I'm sure that, we can work together in making something happen. That it's good for the community. It's also good for the curling club too at the same time. I know I didn't curl last year. I curled every other year. I just did some tournaments, and it's for the local club, but sure, it's a good bang for your buck at that place, and all the volunteers do great work, especially the person in charge of the bar. No, again, that's just my comments, but whatever we can do to see if we can make this work. It's not gonna affect our taxpayers in any great way.
So I guess I can, because I'm the chair, I guess, what is our process with this? Because you need to find out, you want to submit the phase one eligibility, which we need the commitment from the municipality for that by the end of this month.
If possible.
Okay.
I'm sort of working on my.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Yes, please.
I've had a discussion as well with the mayor and I understand she's on her way in. Personally, I see it as going over 2 years, like you've mentioned, Kevin, so maybe half the project 2025 and maybe it's the on ice portion. 2026, the clubhouse portion, split it up into two. For us, it's 2 budget cycles, so we're able to budget easier. It's less of a hit on the taxpayer, but it's also, if we got to put that much money into 1 year, we're giving up another project, right? So we're able to do maybe a couple things at the same time. One thing with the presentation, if you look at the numbers, NOHFC does not consider HST as an eligible expenditure. So your 75% is got to be based on a subtotal. So someone's got to eat up that tax because it's not eligible. So if you are capped at 55, that means the town's got to put in 99 plus 71,000. But we should discuss, like we get rebated HST and I don't know what you guys get. So maybe your treasurer would know. But like we get 11.24% of 13 back from the government. So we have to eat up the 1.76%. For you guys, I don't know if you get the full 13% back. But I know NOHFC does not consider the unrebated portion as an expense, nothing, it's out. So the math's a little different than this. In talking with staff, just for council's information, I would say option 2 on our end is probably the way to go and not do well, here's the thing. We're being told we've got at least 5 years on the roof of the dome part of the arena. So if we got grant money, it makes sense to do both parts. If we don't get any grant money for the municipality's part, just say of the roof, then it makes sense maybe to go with option 2 and then worry about option 3 later on. In saying that though, this is only geared to NOHFC, like Trillium's got about 150,000 or 200 for capital.
I thought it was lower than that.
We've been approved at 150 on a capital side, at 150. Another part is I know the Ontario government's gonna make an announcement in the summer that they've got $200 million available for recreation facilities. They've made the announcement as part of budget, but the application process not been released. 200 million is not a lot for the entire province, but there is an option there as well to say, okay, well, is that a third funding source? Right?
Yeah.
So I think for this part, maybe the discussion with NOHFC is, can we put in for option 3? And if we don't get another funding source, can we reduce the scope of the project versus submitting something and asking them to increase the scope of the project, right? So I think that's a good discussion to have with NOHFC. That's what I want to contribute to the discussion.
Just a question more to you, Jason. You did mention about the tax. Now, the building is not in the curling club's name, it's in our name.
No,
So how does that work?
the applicant, so they're the applicant.
So what would happen if we
We're making kind of a donation to it,
yeah, so
which means whatever the final number is, we're just giving them a check and we don't get any of that HST back. There might be a way to look at it as a joint application.
that's why I'm thinking,
All the costs funnel through the municipality, we get back 11.24 of 13. And then you give us a check for 55. We're joint applicants, we pay all the bills. Like that might be the way to go, especially if you don't get all the tax back and we get more. It just makes sense.
that would cover the engineering fees because they're almost like 6 or 7%, I believe, that we get back.
Yeah. I know a lot of projects too with the government, they're favorable when it's a partnership, especially a municipal one and a not-for-profit. So this might be a really good one for that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I know when we fill out applications, you check off that box, it said partnership. Are you partnered with another municipality, another level of government? So I think there's a good advantage there. Yeah, we did similar, like we did the boat launch project with the anglers and hunters. We paid the cost, they paid some cost on their own, but then they gave us whatever the difference was as a contribution. So I think we gotta look at it, what's the best angle in terms of
That's the best.
coverage.
And that's why I was saying that maybe we were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know the grant writer you're working with, you're in good hands, so I can say that. But I think let's look at it. If we're gonna be able to get back most of the tax and you're not going to get it back, then it may make sense to go that route. Now, if we're joint applicants, then I don't know how it goes from there in terms of expenses. Like we might be able to tell them, well, we're the lead applicant, they're a co-applicant, something along those lines, but I would suggest council has a discussion at the May 28th meeting. We can come back with possibly a resolution on how to move forward. Like you give us direction this evening. And then they'll have their answer going forward.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for coming forward, Kevin. I just wanted to basically acknowledge the fact that we all realize the curling club's an important part of the recreational. package. So anything we can do is be front and center, doing it together, and if we get tax paid back, whether it's your club or municipality, it's in our best interest.
Certainly.
Yeah.
That's why we refurbished the arena a few years ago.
A question, Jason, then for you. Would it be best to set up a meeting with yourself and Greg and the NHFC?
Yes.
Rep to discuss that option?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
That
reach
would
out
be-
to
Sure.
Greg and yourself and I'll see if we can set something up in the next.
Yeah.
Few weeks.
Going back as well to, if I may, Mayor, splitting it up over 2 years as well. We've run enough construction projects or rental projects to know nothing's at our own time. And I know when ice is out in March and then you've got to get ice ready for probably September, October. There's not a big window there to do all of the work.
That's right.
You're best to chunk it off, I think, into 2 years and
Yeah.
do one portion and know you're done within the ice and ice out time. And then look to the prior year. And I know NOHFC, if you tell them this is our start time, this is our end time, it doesn't have to be in a calendar year or 1 year period. You could tell them it's over 2-3 years. Whatever it be.
Yep.
They're more concerned if you get to the end of your term and you're not done with the project and you start asking for extensions, that's a little different, right? So, but if you're upfront with them at the start and say it's gonna be 2 years, then it should be pretty straightforward with them. So, perfect.
Excellent.
I know I'm late. I'm just going to, we had a good discussion earlier on. So I'm assuming we're going with option 1, suggesting overs. Eh?
It's not.
No, so basically, yes, so we leave it open. Concur. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, well done. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
She started the meeting.
Thank you very much for being present.
We're at 8. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor and the actors. I must admit, I did see a Councillor Thad going on, he was looking outside, and I thought to myself, he's going early. Forgot that he stayed for minutes. So I really appreciate the, text that I received. And it's the first time in my life that I'm ready for a council meeting, so I think.
You know what, it's one of those things where you said, you know what, you really enjoy what you were doing what you really enjoy outside, so you lost a little time and it's, you know what? All good.
Thank you, and I'm glad you had that. And so we will proceed then with the committee reports. There was no public works meeting, but you may have a comment. But it's not part of the minutes, so we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. We had a public public works meeting this morning at 10:30. Some of the discussions we had this morning, the big issue that we have, and there's a couple items to talk about, and I'll talk about some, and Deputy Mayor Roykers will speak about some of the items. The one issue that we are having right now is that I talked about the culvert on Lake House Easton Road. They were going to reline it, and it turns out that when they come in to do the realignment, they can't get the other culvert to match the for the culvert to come out and with the right amount of water for the 100-year storm. So we'd have to go too small of a culvert. So we have to change the whole culvert. So it's going to be done in a couple stages, but try to eliminate from closing the road right off. We're going to try and do it one lane at a time. And it's going to be a little over a week to do this major work itself. So I'm sure Antoine will talk about it shortly. But unfortunately, that's what it is. We went with second option, which would have saved the taxpayers money, obviously, and and turned out that we can't do it now. So, and it's a serious matter. For those who don't understand, the culvert itself was put in there about 18 years ago, and at that time we were told to use galvanized culverts, and we did. But about 15, 16 years ago, they changed it that you have to test the water, the hardness of the water before you use galvanized culverts, and there wasn't part of the MTO package at that time. But now we're finding out that the culverts aren't supposed to last 50 years, and unfortunately they're not. So every culvert now that we're using are all being heavier gauge galvanized, and also they're treated. So unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. So we've been thrown at us, so that's what we're doing. So, and the other item that I was going to talk about was we talked about earlier. We talked about the dump. It was a great success again. With like 280 some people that came to the dump. And it was very well run, and there was no big lineup this year, which was nice. So we really went nice and smooth. Again, so we have a couple other items. I think Mayor Roykers will speak about.
Yes, so I think with the amnesty day for the landfill, there was some confusion on Facebook as to what was accepted and what was not. So staff, I think, are going to put together a document beforehand and send it out so that people understand that things that cost us to remove, like mattresses and
Tires,
tires,
appliances that have Freon.
need to be, there'll be a charge for that. And so,
They've never been free.
and they've never been free. But there was a document out there saying it was just yard waste, and so.
Yep.
We're
I
going
think that's what caused the confusion because the discussion's been, they changed this. Well, there was no change. I think it was in the wording which caused confusion. But I understand the staff were accepting more than yard waste as per usual. So next year we'll be sure to put something out there that says items that are accepted, items that are not accepted, items that are in charge.
Well, actually, as part of the community flyer, it was at the back, it was included there in the mail that went every home. It was really well identified.
Yes. And then we were talking about modernizing the landfill and talking about getting Wi-Fi out there. So that might be something at the end of the summer or into the fall, so that people can use their cards instead of cash or check. And then cardboard. With the changes in recycling, we were talking about putting bins out there to capture the cardboard so that it could be recycled instead of it being in the landfill. But then we may talk about having policy or bylaw that might suggest prohibit people from bringing any cardboard to the landfill because it's picked up by the GFL. So
The discussion was once we transition to Blue Box,
Mhm.
if we've got to pay to have it picked up, why would we when it's free at the roadside for residents? Right? So if we prohibit cardboard in the landfill, it forces residents to put it out on the road free versus us paying for a collection, which the taxpayer ends up paying for anyway. Right?
So those were the other two items that are.
Yeah, the other two were one, speak about Green Road. The timing for that and the timing for the Lake Nosleton Road to change the culvert for a time wise, so we'll let the public know and there'll be letters going out. And plus the person drives Centennial Crescent bike lanes started the work yesterday, I believe it was, on the widening of the shoulders as far as our grant. So I'm sure Antoine's going to speak about that also. But there's letters going out to the municipality, to the residents and know what's going on. So it was a pretty good meeting. Us a couple hours this morning, so it was good.
Half load season
Tomorrow.
done. Perfect.
Yeah, I know there was some issues and I can understand why Antoine kept them a little longer. Other municipalities took them out. Bonneville hasn't also. But with the Lake Nosleton Road the way it was, he wanted to let it a little longer because he didn't want something to happen and having the heavy trucks coming across and
Makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So a little patience. Always good.
Thank you for that report. It was very informative. Emergency management program. Yes, you have a comment, Councillor Duran?
Thanks. We do have a meeting. It's set today for May 28th, 10 a.m. Just to bring everybody up a little bit of speed here, just we had our chief and training officer go down to Toronto to the conference show down in Toronto. It's a quite large conference show. Instead of going to the one in Deerhurst, they went to the one in Toronto. So they had really good feedback on there, some really good ideas to move forward for equipment wise and whatnot, and for the safety and security of our residents. The chief also wanted me to let everybody know that as we talked about in the past with the training curriculum, firefighter 1 and firefighter 2, they've been really working hard on getting the whole team completed on that. So firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 should be completed by end of June. So that's a huge accomplishment to our volunteers. So that means they've got they're right up there with the government for training. So we're good. Next thing they're going to tackle is the hazmat training, and that should be completed by the beginning of the new year. And that's another component because it's changed. Not like the old days when we were on it. And so that's changed, and that should be completed by beginning of 2025. Also is what's going on is they're also planning for another open house and recruitment for this summer. So once we haven't hammered out any dates or times or how it's going to look like this year, but we're definitely going to do it again. We did it last year over the Corbeil parking lot. So we'll have some more displays and things for the public come out, and as well as anybody that's thinking of joining the volunteer fire department, they can come on out and ask their questions at that time, and they'll get their answers and their applications at that time also. Oh yes, I know I've had some phone calls and questions with regards of our fire rating signs. So they're here. We're just we're working with Public Works Antoine Boucher to get those erected. So those signs. And I was in discussion where may position them a little different from where they were presently. So they're more feasible for looking for the residents when they're driving down on the roads. And also is that there's going to be probably on both sides of the signs. So coming and going to be able to see. And also is probably looking at maybe putting a sign up at on Astro Road at the intersection of Lake Nosmussing and Astro Road, because if you don't go that way and you come through Corbeil and you have it over at the fire hall, you're missing that visibility for the fire rating. And we have a lot of camps that are down that road. So that's also a place, a positioning where we can put it, one of the fire rating signs there. So that's it. Yeah.
Let's keep it going. At number 3, planning. If you have a committee of the. Yeah.
We've got a big meeting coming up next Wednesday. There's about both. Seasons upon us. See what that are winters. Right now, it's basically, it's been speaking so far of the winter, but now we're getting into construction season, so we get more applicants. That shows up. Yeah. Cute.
So that brings us to recreation parks and cultural committee, and I'm very happy tonight, I'm joined by a member of the committee, and I'm Donna, is here as well, so actually, we had a very good meeting. We discussed the participation, the municipality, under the leadership of, this is your final participation, so there will be probably pickleball, training sessions again this year. And so that was wonderful. We did discuss that they put forward a events calendar, and so basically, I don't think it's part of the package this evening, but it's being finalized. And one item that the committee requested that be included, and I think that's the reason for the slight delay for the events calendar being produced, is something for Canada Day. So basically, the intent is not to have a gathering of Canada Day because it becomes very difficult. We're such a busy municipality. However, we believe it's very important that our community also has its very own celebration for Canada Day. So the municipality has brought forward various ideas that were sent to the committee for voting on, so different options. And I think there was one that was selected, and it's probably will make its way back to council in the very near future. So some good ideas for citizens to be able to celebrate at their home, with their family, with their friends. So I think some innovative, good ideas will be coming forward for us to look at. Tom, it's already such nice weather, right? We see the summer going by, so it's important that we come to that very shortly.
Just a question for pickleball. North Bay charges for pickleball courts, right? Because I've got a text twice from City North Bay today, different counselors, and said, how much is our increase? I go, we don't have a charge for pickleball. And I went, what?
Yes,
That might be a.
They're just debating that now.
that was at council. They're debating, I think, $60 fees for for 300 something that they haven't currently charged for, but I guess they're reports that they were street too. So they're exploring that.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that if they're having a charge and we don't charge, that we don't. Our residents are not the ones going to pay for it.
So basically, our approach has been that if you want to book a time, a specific time, there is a payment. And so basically you can go online, reserve a tennis court, and then there you pay. But because our courts are not always utilized for, basically there's a sign, and that our policy has been to put a sign that says that these are for East Ferris residents and they are free of charge for East Ferris residents when they do appear. But we have not had a problem typically with those policies, and they're well marked at the entrance. But it's something to maybe to watch for as time.
Very hard to police.
Yeah,
Very hard to police.
very hard to police, yes.
And our courts are make sure that we solve them.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I think there are some issues.
Yeah, yes, our utilization is not maybe at the same rate. But that said, it's a good point you make, and we're very I'm aware of people that play on our courts and they're very cognizant of, are you from theirs? They do a good test. So, we've had these situations before, so I think we'll stay close to it for sure.
If you still need help to train people, let me know.
We,
Thank you. To you, Mayor, we've, in the past, we've talked about the bike lanes coming from McPherson Drive over and so forth. And I was wondering if we've talked about it just casually, but having some bike paths or even a cinder track around the Corbeil Hall area behind, or safe for kids to learn how to ride a bike safely without traffic and so forth. Because right now they're using, a lot of people in the Asheville area and Corbeil are using the parking lot. And it's so darn busy for most of the year now, it's become kind of a hazard over in Asheville and Corbeil. So if we're gonna do a lot of paving, it's in the progress in the plans, it'd be nice to have a safe area for the kids to make us a circular path around the whole park.
Yeah,
Something to consider, I would think.
that's something that came up, I think we discussed that when we made the amendment to the ISIP application. We realized we had budget issues with the outdoor rain cover, and I think that is in the plans. The thought is to do the paving around the site as one of the last things. So then we have all the major features in place, and then we can kind of put the pathways to connect the pickleball courts, connect the outdoor rink, connect the playground, and it will form a big loop.
Make a complete recreation area.
So that's on the schedule for 2026 or 2025.
If I,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good discussion. So that brings us to actually trail promotion. We did discuss the municipality is preparing documents or promotional material to inform our residents of what's available in terms of our trails. So that's underway and something that will come before us at a later point. I think that's about it. We will be going in camera later tonight. We did discuss the volunteer recognition program. We're looking at the month of September like we did last year and doing it here in the council chambers, just as we did last year. I think it was a very successful event. And so that is the thought, to do it here as well. And first meeting, maybe our second meeting in September. But we do have volunteers that were identified, and we thank the people that did nominate. We did get more nominations than we thought. And so this evening, I'm very happy that we'll be looking at those names as part of our in-camera meeting. So with that said, that concludes the report. Comments or questions? There being none, we will move to so basically, we're just having internet problems here.
You
That's
too?
right. No, I just showing an agenda here.
I lost my agenda.
We will move to the library board notes. Library board, we did have actually meetings and May, turn it over to you.
Yes, so renovations are mostly completed. They're just waiting for approvals, and staff bathrooms should be started or should be started right now. That was on May 8th. The library staff were talking that there were some disruptions because of the renovations, in that people were not staying as long as they usually do in the library. So because of the construction, but that was the only disruption. So that was really quite good. They were grateful to the staff of the East Ferris Community Center for hosting some of the programs, and that was really important. And they said that they worked really well, and the staff was great at the East Ferris Community Center. Flea market was very successful. At the event, they actually sold 10 extra tables that day, and lots of people came out. So I unfortunately missed it because of my mother's birthday, but I heard lots of good things about it. So they had $500 in donations for books and another $1,200 in donations. That was through the square. And then one of the artists donated all of her proceeds. That was Joyce Effinger, and so she donated $160 to the library. And so that was wonderful. And there were volunteers, Rob Effinger and Councillor Trahan. I'm gonna roll the R. Am I not saying it right? Yes, I'm not. I'm not saying it right. So anyways, 5 acres and yeah. So thank you very much for your volunteering. And staff were very active and in the success of the event. Next year, they'd like to have a canteen. That was the advance of it. So the strategic plan is completed and it is a living document. So it will be we'll be following that over the next 5 years or 4 years. And then the budget, we went through Jessica Dion from Baker Tilly went through the 2023 audit and all is well with that. Board would like to thank the council for passing this year's budget and to thank the council for supporting the resolution in increasing library funding. So that was one. So I think that's everything. Any questions? Oh, sorry.
No, not at all. Just to say, it was good to see the flea market back. I thought that it was an event that was very successful in the past and we had missed it, and it was really nice to see it come back. And my impressions are that now as we continue, it will be an event that will continue to grow. It was very nice to see residents as well that had taken booths, not just organizations and committees. And I see one in front of me right there. It was impressive. It's really nice to have that participation as well. So it was really a great event. Yeah. Oui, Councillor Gana.
Yeah, so it's that was the first time I attended to it, and then I mentioned to the CEO of the library, I said, let's try and figure out how many residents we have and then how many non-residents we have. And I want to say it's probably, I would say it was like 90% it was residents,
Yes.
if not higher. So yeah, so it was good just to kind of see all that partake, and it was good. It was well attended, and yeah, good for the library.
Okay, good for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also attended. It was really good. So we enjoyed seeing people out and enjoying and talking and actually reminiscing. And I ended up buying a few things, of course. Nice hat that I'm gonna wear graciously from the I guess it's the James from Evergreen or the Agricultural Society. Yeah, there was much there that I thought I should buy, but they convinced me in buying a hat that was fairly expensive, but I did buy the hat. And it was for good cause. So anyway, I enjoyed it and talking to the people, and it was a great day for it. So, and you're right about the canteen. There would have been something there, but usually the Lucky 13 had something and they were set up. And, yeah. So.
Yes, and it was for the coffee in the morning, so people made trips to farm.
Yeah.
But I need to just to mention the Horticultural Club, they had brought lots of items because there was a great participation by the Horticultural Club. And they in turn donated all of their items to the Warriors, who are also holding a flea market next week. So it was really good to see that giving as well.
Nice.
Bon. OPP Detachment Board, we did touch on that at our last meeting, actually provided a brief report, but here all the items are somewhat included. Just to say that our last meeting was an organizational meeting. It basically was bringing together Chisholm and Bonfield and having just a general discussion. It's in July, our next meeting, and that's what we'll be actually putting forward and agreeing on certain items, including a code of conduct, as you can see, travel and per diem reimbursement policy. We did circulate to each other our community safety and well-being plans. The intention is that each community will carry on their own plans, but that these, nonetheless, it's important to be aware of what's in each other's plans. We did discuss a budget allocation, and I think our municipality is doing a lot of work, and I really thank our CEO and our clerk who are actually the backbones, who are putting a lot of work together. Although, I mean, it was the clerk from Barnsley who had prepared the code of conduct. And there's a conference that's coming up, and I believe you attending that?
Yeah.
You are, okay, yeah. So the committee had recommended that our clerk should attend because she's playing a key role in bringing everyone together. So, so at this point, not much to say, except that our meeting will be in July, that we'll have more. So it was a good organizational meeting. Thank you for organizing. Any comments on the ABCs? Okay, Councillor Champagne.
So the health unit, I don't know if we had a discussion last time or not as a chair. Anyway, the, obviously, I think I did talk about the issue that we're not going with, well, they decided not to, they decided to stay on their own. The same thing, we decided to go, have another discussion with Sudbury. And that didn't turn out very well for us either. So we're staying pat the way we are. We've already been part of a restructure once already with Parry Sound. I think we've done our due diligence, and I'm going to the Alpha conference, and, you know, to tell them exactly why, you know, we should stay where we are. It's not fair for our municipalities to incur any more costs than we have to. I know they're sending out a little grape out there telling us if we do join, there'll be a one-time funding for the next 3 years that would help. And they say if we don't, then we're looking at a 1% increase for the next 3 years. It's going to be a shortfall for us. And that's why there's one of the items coming up is fading out the water sampling, because it's free now. So they're talking about, you know, we can't afford it, but we can't get rid of the water sampling for sure, because it's a great program and it's been working fine. It's just the funding formula isn't working for the health units. So I'll be having that discussion, and actually it's in 2 weeks. So again, just from that standpoint, we're staying pat to where we are for now. So unless we're forced to do something, well, they'll have to tell us why. Yeah.
DSAB, the hub has come up again, and there's been a homeless study as well. But just attending Phenom's meetings, everyone's got the same problems, doesn't matter which city we're talking about. There's a commonality among them. And it's between the provincial governments and the federal governments. It's going to be that expensive, but something has to be done, including some jurisdictional changes as far as the laws go, because right now there's, it hasn't kept up with the times, quite frankly. So I've got more to talk about the Phenom meeting without under new business.
I think as well, we have to study this part of our correspondence. It's a fairly,
It's lengthy. It's lengthy. There's some, as I say, there's commonality across the major cities in Ontario. But one of the problems in North Bay is that it seems to be centric as far as Northern Ontario is concerned. And there's a lot of people coming from outlying areas, including other cities from the north. So they're migrating down, and it's costly, as we all know, because we're paying. And we're not the only ones paying. West Nipissing's paying 3 times what we're paying, but they're 3 times the size. It's expensive, and quite frankly, there's no answers on the horizon that seem to be working. It's unfortunate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Comments or questions? That's Councillor Champagne. Yes, that's good. Drinking water is good. Any other comments about? We'll move to departmental reports. We've got quite a few, so we should get going on that. The first one is by Mr. Cookie. I'm declaring a conflict of interest. Yes. What's the proceed? Thank you.
Thank you. So this report, this is following up with an application we received to purchase municipal road allowance, and this is off Powell Road. So the road allowance runs between 50 Powell Road and 52 Powell Road. This is a request that council may remember, because we dealt with a similar request So this request before you today has been made by Jennifer and Brian McLaughlin, the owners of 52 Powell Road. But a similar request was received in 2019 by the owner of 50 Powell Road on the other side. So at the time, we didn't move forward or anything because of a couple of issues, primarily the fact that the road allowance has the well for 52 Powell Road located on it, very close to the west side of it. So there was no real opportunity to sell the road allowance to the owner of 50 Powell Road because of the location of the well on 52 Powell Road. There was also another concern with the extent running to the north. But primarily the well was the major issue, and the fact that the municipality had an enforcement agreement for that well for the owners of 52 Powell Road. So at the time we didn't move forward with closing the road allowance, didn't move forward with the sale. We've now received another request to close and purchase this now from the owners of 52 Powell Road. They are the ones whose well is located on the road allowance. And do have an enforcement agreement with us for the location of that well. Their property line also runs basically a 0 meter setback from their home. So they're located right on that line. So they're basically looking to resolve those two issues. Give them a setback to the property line from their home, get the well on their property, and also acquire some more land. They did submit a request that they would like to purchase and close it all the way up to the travel portion of Powell Road. There are some issues with that, and these are similar issues that we had in 2019 as well. Namely that if we were to close and sell that portion, it landlocks a section of road allowance that services 54 Powell Road to the east. All of this is kind of best seen by looking at either Schedule A or Schedule C in my report. So Schedule A is probably the best one to look at first, because this outlines the extent of the request by the owners of 52 Powell. So the area in red is what they requested of council. So from the water all the way up to Powell Road, the entire width of the road allowance. And you can see, so just above 52 Powell Road, which is highlighted in blue, there's the section of road allowance that runs along the top of it. So the white section, which comes to the north side of 54 Powell Road. So the issue is that if that section of road allowance is closed and sold to the extent that they requested, then it landlocks that portion. So that was one issue that we dealt with before, still an issue. So I don't think, I wouldn't recommend council that you close and sell that extent. However, on Schedule C, I recommended an alternative. So basically dropping the section of road allowance down to be flush with the very northern tip of the property at 52 Powell. That resolves the issue of the stranded piece of road allowance. It still accomplishes the goals of the property owner in the sense that the well is located south of that northern extent.
So that jog is at the bottom on the right hand side.
The little jog at the bottom is actually a piece of land that they previously acquired at some point because their house wasn't even on their property. So that jog accommodates their house to a 0 meter setback. So that the corner of the house is in that little jog. So Schedule C is the recommendation that I put forward that I think is a reasonable alternative to the applicant's request. It would allow for a partial closure and sale while not interrupting the other section of road allowance. I mean, ultimately, this section of road allowance is not suitable access to the lake. It's not suitable for emergency services. We considered all options. It's not suitable to be its own standalone lot either. It's very deficient towards zoning bylaw standards. So really the only thing it's suitable for is to an adjacent property. So while it didn't work out for 50 Powell Road, I think it does work out for the owners of 52 Powell Road because of the reasons I outlined in the report.
Was there some objections?
So we haven't discussed recently with the owner of 50 Powell Road. But it didn't go to planning committee and it doesn't have to. It's something that we've discussed this option before with people in the area. But it's not something that we formally circulated because it's not a planning act item.
Just for council's information, so we put it out there. You know, we look at the value of 1,500, it says, great, there's other properties that are as narrow as this one, they've got houses that on the water. Are we giving a $100,000 piece of property for 11,500? The issue is right now, if somebody came forward with an application to purchase that as building lot, our policies would say they shouldn't. So if council went ahead and sold it as the right, we'd be going against our own policy. So I mean, there is the option to do that. But when we tell everybody else they can't do it, we shouldn't do it ourselves. So that was discussed because when I look at it, I think it's, you know, chunk of property on water for $11,500 is not a lot of money to give up that if there's other uses for it, right? So we've considered those as well.
So section do it one by this section above, which is the. Right. And that doesn't affect 54, obviously, because now they've got a road allowance to the.
Right. And their wells on the red portion, is that?
Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
That's on blue.
On our property.
On our property?
It's on the
It's on the road out.
So we're resolving that. I mean, if council decided they wouldn't sell it, then we either gotta make a decision on about an encroachment agreement, which, and
There is one in place, yeah, so.
I mean, there's not a lot we can do with it either, but.
Yes, through more than the business.
Okay.
And just to go back to Councillor Champagne, was there any complaints in that area from any of the residents?
So we don't circulate on these.
No, but like, did anybody brought any complaints into the officer with regard to that?
And they wouldn't even be aware of it
No, they mostly.
because it's not a public notice in any way. There's no sign posted. It's not an application that goes to PAC or immediate adjustment. So,
I just wanted to do something and turn around next month. We got a,
yep.
you know, bunch of angry people here.
Well, things we've discussed internally as well is, I mean, if it's a piece of property that goes gently down to the water and you can access it for canoeing or for, you know, public access to a water, we've said in the past, we don't want to sell those because some people may use it to get to the water. But my understanding on this one is the contours and what's at the water doesn't lend itself to doing that, I guess.
But is that one that's 60 feet wide? Sorry, that's something with that property, 60 feet.
Give or take, yeah, 20 meters are standard road width.
Kyle Road's still a private road, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So you're recommending C,
Yes,
and they're paying all the surveying and everything?
They assume all costs plus pay us whatever the appraisal value is.
Thanks, it's a tough one, I no doubt, but do we, any further comments?
Got a good grasp on this and I apologize to everybody. Where's the well again on?
so if we look at little,
D?
See,
C is a good one to look at, so the property owner that's asking to purchase this is outlined in blue.
Yeah.
So that's 50 Road.
Yeah.
The section to the left that's outlined in red.
Yeah.
That's the section that I'm recommending, like the maximum extent that we sell be, and that is the road allowance, and that section in red is where the house is, so it's on our road allowance in.
Whereabouts do we know?
So it's near, it's a little bit near where that bump out is actually.
Okay.
So over to the left, very close to the property, so 50 Powell Road on the left side. It's very close to that property actually. So it's nowhere near the edge of 52 Powell Road.
So that's basically 200 feet by 60 feet is what you're selling, for all intents and purposes. And we're selling, the remainder is staying.
The remainders that north be staying, I can actually give you an approximate area.
So the well is, if I'm looking at this, the well is way over to the left-hand side.
Right.
Towards,
50.
Towards 50.
That's
and that's a dug well or a drill well?
I don't know actually.
No, thank you.
Well, and why I asked that, because if it was a dug or a drill well, that makes a little bit of a difference. Right, for cost wise of the residents that are currently there, because if that's a piece of property for $11,500. To me, that's pretty low, but I'm just saying, what about if in that area, you could have it as a bit of a park area for the municipality, you could have, picnic tables or something there. You $11,500, and somebody's getting that big chunk of property on the lakeside. So, yeah, it means something if it was a dug well or a drill well.
I don't think it really matters, Steve.
No?
For a drill well is cost more money to drill than
Well, if it's a drill well, I'm just saying, fine.
a well's a well. Because he doesn't have enough property on that 52 to put a well and a septic problem in the same property. That's why the well is over there, right?
Is it okay? So,
He doesn't have enough to actually put a septic system in, and have enough room to put it in.
okay, all right, okay.
That's the issue, yeah.
Well, that's the answer I got. Okay, I'm good.
Just for clarification, then that would become one large lot, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's a requirement, the same day.
So it won't be a separate lot. We're encouraging good planning and good growth on the lake. This to me, I mean, if you put, with the West Basin's like, especially on this, your side and my side, people are within a stone's throw of each other, and it's quite congested. This opens things up a little bit. So I'm fine with it.
The council for municipality experience accepts the recommendation from the director of community services. Contains an important and approve in part the application from Jennifer and Brian McLaughlin, owners of 52 Kyle Road. Purchase a portion of the road allowance between 50 Kyle Road and 52 Kyle Road, according to C, a report and a plan 1. Option 1, and for that the land be disposed of in accordance with the policies contained in bylaw number 22-8.
Any further comments or questions before we vote? All in favor? Okay, so much.
Is that the owner who lives here?
He's up to 50. Yeah, 50. He was the one that approached us the first time and it didn't work out.
Okay. Nice to know that when we were speaking.
Yeah, no, I agree, but we're transparent, so that's good.
We had the discussion, just so council's aware, I believe Sherry's just getting deputy mayor, but we had the discussion internally as well, is that, if you're gonna be 11,500 plus all expenses, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 likely for this. If we can move the well onto their own property, they're gonna spend probably less than $20,000, so can we force them to rectify the situation on their own with the same amount of money and leave a road allowance? The issue becomes that Councilor Champagne spoke to it, that the well cannot be on there. I mean, I'm not sure there's other resolution versus status quo leave as is.
We'll get a well for 20,000, drill one and more in here.
Yeah.
Also has gone crazy on.
Yvonne, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
And now we proceed to departmental report B. Get right through the D, Monsieur Duchesne.
Oh,
And B. Okay.
I'm trying to get this off my screen.
I got kicked out too, just so you know.
I'm back in.
And I had a hard time
I
getting.
had to reboot my computer, so I was okay, but I disappeared.
Feeling left out, I'm still good here.
Because it's sunny outside.
That's not.
Yours is antique.
That's what the hieroglyphics.
Thank you. B.
Yes, so good evening. Mayor, council, we got a peer report today. We bundled all the tender documents. There's, I was gonna go through and read all the reports, but there is a part of the body that's kind of repeating itself, but essentially, we did have these tenders that were published, all of them together on a municipal website, and then that was on April 10th, and then they were closed, each of them closed on the 25th of April at 3 p.m. and then we had the opening here in the office at 3:15. We had the presence of our councillor Rick Champagne, clerk Kerry Enselman, myself, and also from the members of the public, we had a few people, Connor, Chris Henson from Pioneer, Melissa Huge from Kevin Hughes Excavating, and the Wolf Big Army, and also Aaron Kulas from Minnesota. So they were throughout the entire process attending. So the first report is in regards to the dust control. The dust control, when we opened, we checked obviously for error emission. There was a slight error of $9 daily in total cost that was adjusted. But mainly, one of the findings that we had was that there was a significant increase in cost compared to previous years. Essentially, the low bid was about $8,965 over the budgeted amount. So that made us have to go back and revisit a little bit what could be impacted within the existing budget. The two bids that we had was Pollard Highway Product, but this is a joint tender, so it includes the quantity for Bonfield. Our percentage is about 37%, much less than Bonfield, but the total joint RFQ for Pollard being the lowest was 156,778 and 18, and Downey was 182, 291 and 15. So kind of represents about a 20% increase altogether. But the recommendation to council is that we proceed and that the municipality will disperse awards the request for quote RFQ EF 2024-03 for the supply and application of dust control for road stabilization using Pollard Highway Product in the amount of our share, which is $58,535 and 98 cents, including the tax, HST, for the volume that we require. And secondly, that the 2024 budget line item for crack sealing be reduced to account for the increase of this cost. You'll see further that there's another report that kind of refers to that item as crack sealing. Would you like me to carry on with all the reports and go to question right after?
No, just wanna, maybe doesn't proceed.
That council municipality East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-05 and award request for quote EF 2024-03 for the supply and application of dust control and road stabilization materials to Pollard Highway Products in the amount of $58,535.98, including HST. For the volume required by the municipality of East Ferris, the local 2024 budget line item for crack sealing be reduced to account for the increased cost for dust.
Just when you're thinking about doing the dust control, have you got a timeline?
So dust control, essentially in the past, what we'd like to do is kind of wait till after the mid-long weekend. We have to kind of look at the weather a little bit. I mean, I'm not sure if the rain in 6 weeks ago. But essentially, if we can get a little bit of rain, what happens is that we can postpone the application to early June. One thing I think we would like to do this year is schedule 1 or 2 loads in a week period. In total, we're gonna have 4 loads. So we're maybe gonna stagger that into a kind of a 2-week overdue. So anytime starting end of May would be good to start prepping for it. But if the weather permits, I think we'd like to maybe push it back into the first 2 weeks of June.
Further questions, comments? All in favor? Okay, thank you so much. 10C.
So the second report, the difference for that one is I just wanted to point out that we're talking about the 2024-06, which is granular material. Granular material, you'll see there's 2 tenders for granules. One of them is the stockpile material, which is mostly quantities that we do have under the operational budget.
In this case, 11 tender packages were issued, and we received 6 bids. If you look into the analysis, you get the results of all 6 bids. They were checks for error and emissions, none were found. In this case, we recommend that the award be awarded to the low bidder, which is in this case Avenues Excavating. So the recommendation reads that Council of the Municipality of East Ferris awards the tender EF 2024-04 for the supply of stockpile branded materials to Avenues Excavating in the amount of 37,788.5 including HST for the tonnage required for the municipality of East Ferris.
We'll put forward the motion and we'll discuss it.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Kelly and the moderators. The Council of the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-06 and award tender EF 2024-04 for the supply of stockpile granular materials to Avenues Excavating in the amount of $37,788.90, including HST, for the tonnage required by the municipality of East Ferris.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? C'est bon, carried, thank you. Winter Sand, item 12Z.
So moving on to Winter Sand gave us also a surprise that we didn't really expect. We had 9 tenders that were submitted, only 3 bids were received. As you see down below, there are 2 bids shown and 1 was rejected as was not in compliance as the bid bond was not included. But essentially, this one also refers to the fact that we were significantly over budget. It's in the order of 160% of it, 160. Essentially, we have a difference of 23,341.55 budget, and therefore it is an essential product, winter sand. So we do need to replenish our stockpile. So the recommendation remains to proceed with the low bid. In this case, the Council of the Municipality of East Ferris awards the tender EF 2024-05 winter sand in the amount of 64,773 cents, including HST to Miller Paving North Bay, and that the 2024 budget line item for crack sealing be reduced to account for the increased cost of winter sand going forward.
Mover and seconder, please. The Council for the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-07 and award tender EF 2024-05 winter sand in the amount of $64,785.73, including HST to Miller Paving North Bay, and that the 2024 budget line item for crack sealing be reduced to account for the increased cost for winter sand.
Wait, Councilor Champagne.
Yeah, just one comment on that. When you're looking at that price difference in between there and the second place, that's quite a bit of difference. Now, we've still got half of our stockpile left from last year, give or take. Is it possible we don't need as much as we tendered out in order for a little bit of cost saving?
So when we did the tendering process, we revisited the quantities, and then we were basically trying to make that reflection of like we do not need as much. So the quantity this year is much less than every other years in the past. So the question is, we do have about a 500 tonnage in contingency item that we always keep as, you know, as we get closer towards filling up the dome. We may have a little bit less than we predicted, but we did make a revision to our quantity. So the tendered quantity is what we kind of expect we should be requiring this year, which is less than previous years.
I know we stockpile a bunch of it outside before, which is at 500 ton probably. If we don't need to, like we still got lots left over, maybe that's the cost saving, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, so we do believe that once the dome is full, the building is full, that we don't need to add additional reserves. In this case, we'll try to you know, keep it to our what is required, but not to go overboard with the quantities.
So what's the impact of the crack sealing?
Essentially, when we look at the last 2 reports, they kind of sum up to the total of the crack sealing that we had scheduled. So when we do the math of the 2 items, they more or less cancel the crack sealing.
Crack sealing
Right.
Okay.
I think it needs a couple thousand, but it's not enough to fix the project. You can practice it for about $1,000.
So, air through, Antoine, is it because of shipping? Is that what the increases are this year? Or is it, or they didn't say? Yeah,
Dust control is, if you think about it, it's roughly a $2,000 additional cost per load. That comes from Liberal Current. I can't see exactly that it would be the full shipping cost as extra to before. But I think they're experimenting like an overall increase in cost due to fuel as well. Winter sand is interesting. We've had some dealings in the past years where our winter sand was always quite a good price, to be honest.
yeah,
But also some of the local pits, they had stockpiles of material and then we were able to tap into the stockpile. They used to have a really large quantity. The way I see it, the stockpile is replenished and now they're getting into rescreening with the new cost of doing business, I think. So I would say that those are those prices that we see, those kind of increases that we see will be reflected as we move forward for the next years.
But you see in all the prices on the granulars, every one of them is way up.
Yeah. Substantially increases.
Are you in any way concerned with the crack? The ceiling?
But I think it's one of the items that has the least impact, to be honest. So I mean, you know, the condition of the road is only gonna keep on deteriorating. But the fact is, the road already aged. It was paved in 2008. So we're looking at so many X years. So that crack sealing is preventative, but it won't change drastically.
You wouldn't want to do it 2 years in a row, though. You'd be looking at it next year for sure.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Is there any further-
or you look at the price of what's coal patch. So you're gonna be putting more coal patch in the springtime. You know what I mean, compared to what your crack ceiling, I forget what our crack ceiling budget was, but you look at coal patch is expensive, so you got either or, so
It doesn't seem to,
no,
it's coming down.
no.
That's the problem right now, right? That's another item that we brought up at Good Roads and we're gonna bring up again at AMO is. And that's the cost of doing business in all the municipalities. The cost is getting so bad that we've got correspondence to the other municipalities that have the same problem. You know, it's affecting the bottom line.
Vaccine definite for 2025.
Well, we'll see what the impact of all these costs are like throughout the, our 2025 budget. But I think for me, in my experience, like this is the first time that I actually see like this kind of increase like in the past. Like we were, always following the cost of living indexing. This year, those two tenders can prove contrary to that, right?
All in favor?
Sure.
So carried, thank you so much. Equipment rental rate, 10C.
Do you want to jump?
Oh, I jumped to this treatment, sorry, yeah.
We could, if we go back to the
road.
previous two, the previous two report would be then 2024-08 and 2024.
Did I jump too?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you're at E, I'm supposed to be on E.
I picked it up.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So I can read those two kind of side by side because essentially they're in reference to the same project. One of the first one, the 08, is actually the granular material going on to the road. And the second one is actually the surface treatment going on to the road. So those two items are essentially the same project. The granular material will reach out to 10 different contractors. Did receive 4 bids. Out of the 4 bids that we received, Avenues Excavating was the lowest bid. We checked for error and emissions, none were found, and therefore we would remain to our recommendation to award to Avenues Excavating. I can complete the recommendation if you want to pass this one, and then we can review the surface treatment following. So recommendation for the granular material for the road reconstruction would be that council of the municipality fairest awards the tender EF 2024-06 for the supply and placement of granular materials for the reconstruction of Blue Road to Avenues Excavating in the amount of 98,008.50, including HST.
I will support.
Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Jonathan, Deputy Mayor Roy Akers. Council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-08 and award tender EF 2024-06 for the supply and placement of granular materials for the reconstruction of the road to Evan Hughes Excavating in the amount of $98,818.50, including HST.
Favor?
Okay, thank you so much. Next.
Portion of Blue Road?
So the next tender is a little bit of the cherry on the sundae. It's usually the completion part of the road reconstruction when we're talking surface treating. So in this case, we did submit 6 packages, but 2 bids were received. The following 2 were checked for area emissions, none were found. So we received the bid from Miller Paving North Bay for $409,873.60. Including taxes, HST, and then Duncor was the low bid for $294.16.96. So the recommendation is to award to Duncor Enterprise for the finalization of the double surface treatment with reinforced membrane. So that the Council of the Municipality of Service awards a tender EF 2024-07 for the supply and placement of reinforced double surface treatment tender to Duncor Enterprise in the amount of $294,016.86, including HS.
Open it up, okay?
Council, Municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-09 and award tender EF 2024-07 for the supply and placement of reinforced double surface treatment to Duncor Enterprises Inc. in the amount of $294,016.96, including HS.
Just one quick question. We've used Duncor in the past, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just quite the difference in price. I think we lucked out on this one because you checked for all the errors and emission and everything, and that's quite a difference in the two.
Wait, Councillor Chang?
And of course, this is for half of Crew Road.
Well, this is actually a little bit more than half because at first we were gonna stop at relatively half. It could have been at the middle. And then for the tender quantity, looking at it, because there's other work than this in our budget will approve the total of the 2, but there's work that we're gonna be requesting proposals for pulverizing the road. That's gonna be in addition to this. There's some area where we're gonna be excavating and then we're replacing with new material for the base. So when we're looking at all the other elements, then we're within the scope of our budget. But what we did this year is we tried to extend it to past Edmund Road. So now we're able to make it the quantities that we have, make it that it brings us to the bridge.
Wonderful.
So that's the quantity to the bridge.
And one section past the bridge is where it's really bad.
So there's another section that we have to consider what we're gonna do with, but essentially as we complete the remaining field work, then we'll know exactly where we're at the budget. So we may be able to, we'll have to see, but we may be able to carry on a little bit further past. But right now, the tender one was based on getting to the finish.
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent.
Big gap, yeah.
Yeah, take a look at that. That's first.
Well, look at the price that come in.
Yeah.
And Mr. Boucher, the road will look like, for example, the portion of road from Chisholm, the way it was finished. Our road will connect and be, once it's all finished, not next year.
Yeah.
Yes, so it will look the same,
Yes.
seamless.
Oh, our side.
Well, our side will be younger. Yes.
That means better.
Okay.
Long time coming.
Any
Yeah.
further comments or questions? Okay, well, that's good news. So, all in favor? Okay, Terry, thank you so much. So that's equipment rental rates.
So for equipment rental already, what we did is we submitted different packages. The name of that, it's falling under RFQ, but it's got an interesting name because it's equipment rental list. Essentially, that is what it is. It was to it was not specifically based on work that we had. It was more based on the requirement to get rates from service providers within the area. In this case, we reached out to five different service providers renting equipment packages, and ultimately upon closing, we received one bid. The bid that we received was actually from Desgagnés Aggregate. The table attached is the information provided, which they're in compliance with the list of equipment we submitted. There's some additional equipment shown, but we do use that then moving forward as a reference document.
As needed.
For emergency replacement work or any work coming forward for this year. So essentially, within the analysis, what we do, depending on how many submissions we receive, we would normally kind of include the sub-bullet items, because we want to work with a contractor that has, CVR code standing, WSIP's evaluation, so those contractors have to provide those. So we would evaluate and select the equipment. In this case, there's one bid where we will still follow up to ensure that CVR is in good standing, WSIP is standing, and the equipment is in good condition. As well, then we check for liability insurance, equipment building and bundling. Sorry, I mean by bundling is being able to combine equipment together, availability and response time, equipment class and size based on a project basis, and also the contractor's work-related experience and productivity. It's tricky to see an hourly rate, but you want to make sure that the productivity is also making sense, right? So in this sense, basically the recommendation for the RFQ EF 2024-08 is that Council for the Municipality of East Ferris authorizes staff to rent equipment on as needed basis from the Desgagnés Aggregate at the rate listed in their RFQ submission for the RFQ EF 2024-08 equipment rental list.
Move over to seconder, please. Mayor Reinders. Council, Municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2024-10 and authorize staff to rent equipment on an as needed basis from the Desgagnés Aggregates at the rates listed in their RFQ submission for RFQ EF 408 equipment rental list.
Any comments or questions? Nothing to ask?
Don't get the thing, and I know it's on our queue and anything, and I know it's also about vulnerability. And it's just a suggestion, I'm not. Is that the only thing I'd like to see is, because I know some of the equipment here that you're asking like. We never use, but some of the common stuff that we do use sometimes would be nice to see the rental. Prices also say from United or Field, or if we can get that in next time, like you can call and get pricing for some of the stuff that we typically would rent. I know that it's not like it doesn't come with a operator, but we do have guys operate equipment. So just so that we can be transparent and have those pricing back and forth.
Yeah, and for that part, we always do reach out to rental. Like for instance, if I think of Google, we're going to be renting like a factor. Factor. They stay within a lower cost, generally speaking. So we would reach out to those service providers and say, listen, we need also this year we will need to rent equipment.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
I'm just saying if we're gonna have the pricing rates also, if it's done up also.
We could,
I know you did last year, and then you end up getting it from down south, it was a lot cheaper than around here, even United and Martin.
we do get a whole process, and then we request for pricing, and then we keep the difference with the package that's there is that there was quite a bit of work done in reflecting the fact that it has to come with an operator. But I see what you're saying, that there's a second category of rentals that are not with equipment, not with operators. So if we did that, we probably would do a separate one.
Yeah, just
Last year we rented from Cooper and United Rentals.
yeah, no, we always rent from somebody, but I'm just saying like if we're gonna do this, let's have, you know, the rack cards also for the rental company, so. That's all, just a thought.
We can definitely do that.
Whatever, if you don't wanna do it, fine, but I'm just saying it would be nice, at least you know.
Can definitely include a sub-category of the.
The reason we say it's more of an as needed basis is more if there's an emergency.
Yes,
And we don't have that equipment, and we need an operator with the equipment is somewhere fast to go. And last year, we only went out to a contractor local once when we had to do Brew Road, right? Aside from that, we didn't rent any equipment unless it was United or Cooper.
That's why, like, those we do rent every year, because we needed a roller for the subdivision and so forth, so, yeah.
any further comments or questions? All in favor? Say aye. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
So I think all of us as a team should be commended that last year we passed the budget May 12th. So this year, all the tenders are out. You know, about the same amount of time. If you think about it.
It's very important, yeah.
Yeah.
There's other reasons about it.
They're just starting.
Yeah, well, I know some municipalities around us have not passed budget.
So would that be helpful in some of the pricing you mentioned, and we were fortunate in some of the pricing, would that be?
I think
an
you've seen
indication?
that.
Yes.
Also, the number of bidders for some of the amounts, you could see, I think one of them had about 8 or something, like there was a good amount. Where some years you get 1 or 2 and it's like, well, this is priced, right? So I think we benefited this year. Even though some of the prices are up. But I mean, if we would have been 2 months from now, I don't think, like the gravel mixes we got that were. Like quite a bit lower than the next person. I don't think we would have saw that much of a spread a few months.
And the only one that would say different is the winter sand. We're the only ones who got a tender. So now usually Miller, if they get 4 or 5 of them, they're bidding at the same time, the pricing will come down. But who knows what happened this year? Like right now, we're ahead of the game, but we're ahead of the game on the surface treatment. And look what happened there, big gap in between.
Yeah.
So who's starving, who isn't, I guess.
Thank you very much. We move now to those motions, and this is not an item here for discussion, it's just that, Councilor Kelly is advising us that we will be bringing forward a flag raising policy amendment at our next meeting that will be available at that point for discussion. Would the individuals? No, it's the notes. Bylaws, this is, the automatic aid agreement bylaw, in fact,
This is the 3rd reading, so it came forward to council at the first meeting in April. And at that time, there was no agreement on the agenda. So council decided to do the 3rd reading this evening. There's an agreement on the agenda.
Thank you. So motion forward.
Second. Bylaw number 2024-15, being a bylaw to enter into an automatic aid agreement between the corporation of the municipality of East Ferris and the corporation of the municipality of Callender, be read a 3rd time and passed this 14th day of May 2024. And that's a bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
any comments? Questions? All in favor?
Thank you so much. The next one, is the plan of subdivision. We just move on, and we've also seen this before.
This one here is basically our lands on Durland Road, the 8.5 acres, that it's an old plan of subdivision that we're looking to deem no longer a plan of subdivision. Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, very quickly, so this bylaw was in council, 3 meetings ago, and then it went to central lander's office, and through the title search process, we found a minor clerical error in the law ban. So the lots, number 17, 28, 38, 76, 78, 80 to 96, and 146, 161, are the correct lots that are part of the plan, and we need to be not part of the plan. Previously, there were about 5 additional lot numbers, in there that are actually privately owned. That's we need to pass in bylaw to remove those numbers. Otherwise, the bylaws are exact.
You okay?
Deputy Mayor Roy Akers. Whereas council of the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session. Be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to deem lots 17, 28 to 38, 76 to 78, 80 to 96, and 146 to 161 on registered plan M181, not to be lots on a registered plan subdivision now in the municipality of East Ferris in the district of Nipissing. Further, this bylaw deems those portions of Ashwood Avenue, Beechwood Avenue, Elmwood Avenue, Poplar Avenue, Poplar Road, excuse me, Balsam Road, and all laneways located between lots 17, 28, 38, 76, 78, 80 to 96, and 146 to 161, as shown on one, to not be registered as a plan of subdivision of the municipality of East Ferris. Be read first, second, and third time. Passed in number 2024-19, and that's a bylaws and clerk sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Questions? All in favor? Oh, there, thank you so much. Bylaw number, 2024 plan. So let's see.
Yep, so this bylaw is officially the bylaw to enter into an agreement with the federal government for the active transportation fund. So we have already entered into agreements with NYCFC and the Trillium Foundation. This one I held off entering into an agreement with because at the time when we received the agreement, we weren't going ahead with the project until the other funders got approved. And then also we went out to tender this year to find out what the value was. Now that we know that we're under budget and we're able to proceed, is the time to enter into an agreement with them. I didn't want to enter into an agreement with them, then find out we were over budget, have to go back to them and say, sorry, we're not going to proceed. So this is officially the agreement now to get going. We can't technically start the work until we provide them with a copy of the agreement. Yeah, so also this bylaw designates authority to me for any amendments in the future to the agreement, to sign off on any financial claims that we put forward to them to be repaid. Also the final claim, they needed somebody to be delegated authority on behalf of the municipality. So yeah, so that's what this bylaw is. You know, there's one section of the agreement that after the fact of putting this on the agenda, I had a meeting with them last week because they still wanted us to do a duty to consult the Indigenous community. I had argued with it that from the get-go, I was told I wasn't gonna have to consult. My issue with it was we can't start the work until we get a check off that we've consulted, right? And I didn't want to delay the project. So when I met with them last week, I said, like, it's all we're doing is paving our shoulders. It's our road. We're not going even into the road allowance. We're not going on to anybody's private property, crown lands, yada, yada. So they said, well, by Friday, you'll have an answer from us. So I got an official letter saying there's no. So once this agreement's signed and sent, they'll give you an amendment, take that part out of the agreement. So what I'm getting at is we basically got the blessing for the project. So.
So we'll take any motions for the bylaw, so.
Whereas council of the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session. Be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between the corporation of the municipality of East Ferris and His Majesty the King and Knight of Canada for funding through the Active Transportation Fund for new active transportation infrastructure connecting the Person Drive to the Voyager cycle routes and on the Corbeil Outdoor Recreation Hub. Be read a first, second, and third time, passed on number 2024-20, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of.
Any questions or comments?
All in favor? I don't carry. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Correspondence and information items. And the idea is what if we bring it forward, we try to decide on the hour tonight. But unless we all agree that it's like a talk. So definitely.
Yeah, 13A1. I think this is kudos to the staff and to our CEMC, Tim Shepherd, that we've met all the requirements, 13 elements of the Energy or Emergency Management and Civil Protections Act. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Shepherd and the staff for all their hard work on that. Then D. I'd like to talk about F with the free water testing and then as well G, which is the endorsement of Bill C 63. So D, F, and G.
So would you like to start with D?
Sure,
You'd like to have a similar motion brought forward by the municipality of East Ferris, is that correct?
that's right.
Talking about the Hastings County suitable infrastructure funding.
Right.
Now, the only thing I would add to that is make sure it gets sent to Ontario Good Roads Association. It's not being sent there.
I would say that we have a problem with this resolution and that the wider the circulation, the better. So are we in a position to, yes, okay, we can see that.
Please. Council Municipality of East Ferris supports the resolution from Hastings County calling on the Ontario and federal governments to implement sustainable infrastructure funding for small rural municipalities.
But add OGRE to it because it's not in.
This correspondence is sent to the books.
Favor? Well, Jerry, thank you so much. So, yes,
Yeah, that's. So that was something that Councillor Champagne had talked about. And so I thought it was
Yeah, it's front,
discussion.
it's front and center right now, the health unit. So again, I'm going alpha and discussing that matter there too with the other health units across Ontario. So it's going to be part of one of the items on the agenda.
would you say that basically the health unit, the position is that the program is working well, it's in.
It's the funding issue that we're having with the ministry.
So,
But it's one of these things where funding's got to go from somewhere,
right,
right? So if you want to have 1% increase, something's got to give, right? And this is not one that should be.
so basically, more than we heard. Okay, that said, before that, we'll have to use the response.
Council of Municipality of East Ferris supports the resolution from the township of the archipelago regarding requesting the province to reconsider and ultimately decide against the proposed phasing out of free private drinking water testing.
And for the comments, your questions, we nothing better.
Just a thought of question. I don't know if you know the answer, but for our district for that, what's the cost overall for our district for the testing of our water?
I'd have to find out exactly, but there is quite a bit that goes, right?
Yeah.
It's free. Like if you go to Northern labs, it's $100 or $125 for the test done, yeah. If you want it done, now that's over processed, but if you want it done within 48 hours, it's more than that. Probably for mortgages, right? So.
Right.
But if you want your water tested just for yourself at the house, you just bring it in and get your result back within a week or two, and then it's not an issue. But it's the cost of it. And it's shipping it, well, because we don't have a lab in North Bay. So.
Yeah, okay.
And certainly for a community that are on wells, this is an important one to
Yeah.
go check for, thank you.
Our own water here, so I'm sure you get some testing done.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we do.
Yeah.
That's well said.
If I may make one suggestion, they've got MP Green Smith on here, and if we were to
Yes.
add our own MPP, Vin
Correct.
Fidelli,
Yes.
it is the North Bay Perry South District Health Unit, so that's a good.
Yeah, good catch.
And then you had said G.
Yes, G. So Bill, endorsement of Bill C 63. So this is the Online Harm Act.
Further questions or comments? With Councillor,
I've looked into that in depth. It's a dangerous. These are 3 amendments, very dangerous bill. It would erode free speech. Margaret Atwood called it Trudeau Orwellianism, which comes after George Orwell wrote the book 1984, which is about totalitarianism, which you have in communism, China and Russia being ideal examples, North Korea. Basically, and the 3rd amendment would be that you might be charged with what you might say in the future. When it comes to racism or someone's perception, you do not like somebody, you're going to talk against them or hatred. So very, very dangerous bill. There's been a number of legal professors from Western Canada talk against the bill. And basically it's eroding free speech. That's what it's about. The way it's presented here from Clearview, it sounds, my goodness, it's, you know, it's the Online Harms Act and so forth. But in actual fact, this is the first step towards the government controlling thoughts and getting rid of all obstructive thoughts or subjective thoughts, quite frankly. So, you know, I would want no part of it.
Thanks, Dr. Kelly. Councilor Barron.
Yeah, it's a woke bill. If you dive deep into it, there's some good parts on it, but on a big part of overall of it, it's not something I can either support either. It's been brought up 3 times in the parliament before, and it's all been turned down. Right now, where it's sitting right now, it's in the first stage of the parliament, so it's not, it still has to go through a few more hoops, but no, I'm not in favor of this at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I didn't look into the media on this, so my apologies for not investigating it. It was the enforcement of the act. It's looking at having a digital safety ombudsman that, you know, supports users of social media, and it imposes responsibility on the operators of social media. So that was something that, and
There's some good points on it.
right.
But if you go right into the bill, because there's like, the bill has 3 different parts. to it.
Right.
It's
So
real
the
dangerous.
third part is
It's really dangerous.
code of conduct, conduct research and engage in education complaints, and then also looking at amending the criminal law code. Is that where is the issue? If you don't mind me asking, I'm just asking.
There's a lot of issues, Lauren, and it's not about the criminal code part of it, because they're looking more of the ombudsman side of it.
Mhm.
And the tribunal part of it. So you could put a complaint against me, and then I would not be able to get disclosure of who made the complaint. Just if I made a comment about something that was frivolous, it would put me into litigation where I have to, where it starts at. And through the tribunal part of it, it'll cost you thousands of dollars right off the bat. And it goes to a slippery slope. So on the totality of the whole bill, you gotta take the 3 parts and you have to look at it, because it's, some of the parts of this doesn't go together. So it's, if they would have broken up that bill into different bills, then it'd be easier to say yes or no to the bill. But the bill is, you have to research it and read it. I've read it like numerous times, and it's no, it's not something that we should be putting our name behind on this, who is it? Clearview Township. I would not recommend putting our municipality's name support on this. So you'll go through it and read it. It's a wolf bill. It's a
what bill?
It's very partisan. It's very, this bill is going to actually start a more cultural war than anything else. So that's all I can say.
A wolf bill? Woke? Oh, woke.
Councilor Barron. Yes. Yes, want to make sure we.
Yes.
I'm sure, like, I haven't dug into it either. I'm sure that before this next week, there'll be enough lawyers looking at this down that there'll be a different result, maybe some items taken out. So I think it's probably better off not to make a comment on it now till we know exactly get through the weeds and everybody's comments are put in place, then we can have an educated look at it. Because I don't feel comfortable myself either looking at it. And again, they got more lawyers than we do to take a look at it. Before I support something, I want to make sure that exactly what comes through the weeds. That's just my comment. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Any further comments that you have?
That's it? Yeah, you don't have to pass it.
Thank you. Good discussion. Moving forward. Councillor Kelly?
Yeah, I just had, I had C, D, E, F, and M. M being, Mr. Freeman.
So item C first?
C,
You did say C,
I
but you,
believe C's been done.
oh, okay, C.
D has been, we've discussed D.
So C is the non-native
Exotic wild animal, did you?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so you'd like to have.
I think we should have some controls. I know that, there's fish in the Great Lakes right now that came from other countries, Asia and so forth. And it's becoming a nightmare. They're coming down the Ohio River. I believe they're in one of two of the Great Lakes and, flying fish. Yeah, exactly. And they hear them over, actually go up people's houses. They're 30 to 40, 50 pounds. And they are dangerous and they are not native to our. So I'm just looking at invasive species overall, the same as some of the things attacking the trees, but animals especially. And for some reason, some people are bringing in non-native species in the country. And there seems to be lack of controls.
For example,
Because this is not just species and native, it's also basically.
Snakes and.
yes, so but an operation such as that, it's an education.
I'm just saying there should be more controls. I think that's what this is about,
Okay,
quite frankly.
but it's also, yes, concur, so.
How would this?
I'm just supporting the motion. I just think there should be controls. And they should be tightly controlled. I mean, you can go back to the killer bees. I mean, they were, larger than the honeybee and so forth. They came from southern South America, escaped, and now they're a problem in the States. And they're coming north.
The only other way to go around, and I agree with Terry, Councillor Kelly, sorry. But you can make bylaws, right? And you can put bylaws in with regards of lakes are different, but I'm just saying, if somebody brings in a pet alligator into their home, I don't know, whatever, you can sky's the limit on it, right? So. There's another way for the enforcement of it, or kind of keep that away from outside of our municipality.
Wait,
I just one comment. I looked at these motions that we make. It's highlighting either support or concerns. That's why I looked at it. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really apply to us, but I'm just thinking about.
No, exactly.
One business in our community that's
in our area.
The other one I had was M, which was, sorry.
Get finished because we haven't.
Pardon me.
But want to bring this forward as a,
Motion ourselves, pardon me.
Okay.
Councillor.
No problem.
so I guess I get a sense that we're going to table it and bring it forward as a,
Just a cause for concern.
And I'm gonna move her a seconder, moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Champagne. Council Municipality Ferris supports the resolution from the city of St. Catharines regarding petitioning the provincial government to implement provincial regulations to restrict the possession, breeding, and use of non-native exotic wild animals, and licenses in order to guarantee their fair and consistent application of policy throughout Ontario for the safety of Ontario's citizens.
All in favor?
Terry, thank you so much. Let's move forward. Are you in favor?
Sure, yep. I was just, I wasn't too sure, like, so all we're doing is putting a letter of support in, right, Terry?
That's all.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No direct impact on us whatsoever, just support.
Thank you.
Other item, Councillor Kelly.
Was M. I believe, I know the taxpayer called me and I attended and I passed it on to Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, sure. I can definitely take that with us, Kelly. So I met with Mr. Freeman on his property, and his property is located immediately adjacent to the Big Moose Boat Launch. But also adjacent to the location on the other side, where council has asked us to look into the docks on Big Moose Road for the property owners across the way. It came to our attention when the surveyor was out doing docks, that there's a bit of a weird, I guess, jog in the property line in Mr. Freeman's property, essentially driving on his land. Through that area being directly adjacent to the docks, it would make a lot of sense to just, extend the road lines up, but he didn't include a map, and we for council today. So I was just maybe we bring back and also report docks, and it all kind of fits in place nicely, but I think it'd be best if we brought something more detailed.
Thank you.
Thank you for raising it.
Oh, no problem.
Well, maybe here as soon as the May 28th meeting with us recommendation to council on how to proceed with the docks.
It all ties in.
So
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items? Councilor Down.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Councillor Champagne.
You just have Ann,
And
there's nothing left.
I'm looking for it.
The only one, like, we didn't talk about E, like, the only thing I would suggest on, you're talking about the proper resume assessment cycle.
Yep.
Like, we've been told 26 before it gets changed over. Maybe we invite somebody from Impact to come over and have a hearty discussion on exactly when it's gonna happen. I know some of them have said they would come and do it, so I think it might be time for sometime this summer to have someone come over and give us.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're saying 2026, but the way they're talking here, they want it to happen sooner than later. I don't think it's gonna happen.
because through treasury, like it's not been communicated to us, so I guess we invite them and they don't have information.
Well, they say they do. I'm talking about Chris Fusco, which it looks after the municipalities. And maybe have him come down and have a discussion with us and let us know what's going on. And I knew a few of our, you'll probably get mad from some of their messages, but he built a new house and he says assessment prices what they are today, it's supposed to be what they were in 2016. Well, why you have that fight, I don't know. It's just, to me, this doesn't make sense. If you were to take your house today and you'd sell it, you wouldn't sell it for the price of 2016, but you're paying taxes on 2016. I have a problem with that. So
There's winners and losers right now.
exactly. So it'd be nice to have it, say here, it's gonna be in 2026 and everybody knows what's going on. And if it's gonna be in all at once, or is it be Kinrits or Kinrits?
Believe it, they're offered, like once these, when there's an increase, it's phased in. So it's 25% a year. So if somebody's experienced 200,000, it's gonna be 1,000 over 4. So it's already a phase. I don't know why they've not just come out and said, we're doing a reassessment cycle. Just get it over and move on. It's the Ministry of Finance, right? So, yeah. Like I can understand during a pandemic, but I mean, we've been done for a bit. It's back to business for quite some time, so.
Yeah, we did a discussion with Spot. What's his name?
I don't know what.
He kind of talked in circles a little bit and he's a chair, right? So maybe get something impact and actually tell us what the hell's going on here so we can let our ratepayers know and people know what's going on.
And people have,
Go ahead, sorry. So Councilor Kelly.
Sure. What I'm hearing is exactly what our CEO mentioned, that would be a phased in assessment increase. The concern that people have is our council and staff have consistently dropped the mill rate as the increase of homes has gone up. The assessment. But a lot of some of these municipalities have not. The more they collect, the more they spend.
Yeah.
And, and we've always ran a tight ship, quite frankly. That's to our benefit, to the benefit of our taxpayers, but it doesn't happen in a lot of places. And some of them are around us, so no names, obviously, and that's the concern. I picked up that an awful lot. As Al Spacek attended the conference and he was questioned. Right, they're going to phase it in, but there's a lot of concern that people are going to get hit hard because they're going to be paying extra, which is not the case for us. So that's a concern. But it's going to be phased in because of COVID, but no, COVID's been gone a couple of years and there's still people supposedly working from home and doing whatever. I mean, it's become more an excuse than it was a liability, definitely.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
I was just gonna mention that, I agree with everybody, and I agree with the CEO. It's fair enough, I mean,
2026 to do that, like 2026 is actually a big year. It's elections years. And so,
so
they would wait till 2026 to implement that. And
it's gotta be like.
It'll be November of 20.
like, even if they started next year and started a little bit and then so some more in 2026, then yeah. I think, but anyway, that's just a comment, so.
It'll be November of 2026.
Yeah.
Well.
That's what they're gonna do. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, so I've gone to some impact things at OMA or Roma and those are questions like they're asking not have it in election year, right? And they're not asking to have it before you have to set budget, right? Because if you set it afterwards and then the mill rate changes, it's more complex. So those questions have been asked at the bigger conferences. So that's what I've heard.
They said they weren't gonna do it, so. They weren't.
Well, they've been asked not to do it during the election year.
Yeah.
Right? So, and to have it be like, and to coordinate it before budget season, right? Because, so, yeah,
Makes sense.
right?
So coming back to the request, if, as Mr. CEO, Mr. Trustee, if you find that there's an opportunity, there would be a benefit to information being shared with our citizen. We have seen posts on social media on these issues. People are worried, people are concerned. So we leave it with you to determine when it is an appropriate time. Would that be all right, Councilor Thompson?
Yeah, I'll give you the Chris's information. You can give me, that's what he does, is municipal tax assessment grant.
There being no further comments, we will move forward then with accepting correspondence.
Over in a second. Later, council approved the correspondence and information as circulated with the agenda of May 14th.
In favor? Yvonne Carey, thank you so much. We have a resolution for the new bylaw. Did you want to read it?
Move over in a second, please. Councilor Shane, Councilor Kelly. Whereas Jessica Jacques and Mark Donnelly have made a request to council for an exemption under section 4 of municipal bylaw 2015-33, a bylaw to prohibit excessive noise. And whereas with Jessica Jacques and Mark Donnelly's request, the exemption would apply from Saturday, August 3rd, 2024 from 2:30 p.m. to Sunday, August 4th, 2024 at 12:30 a.m. And section 1.1 on Sunday, August 4th, 2024 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the purpose of a wedding to be held at 1003 McPherson Drive. Be it hereby resolved that council, the municipality of Ferris, approve the request received from Jessica Jacques and Mark Donnelly and grants an exemption from municipal bylaw number 2015-33 for Saturday, August 3rd, 2024 from 2:30 p.m. to Sunday, August 4th at 2:30 a.m. and section 1.1 on Sunday, August 4th, 2024 from 2 p.m.
No comments or questions before we vote? On favor? Yvonne Carey, thank you. Approval of accounts payable.
Seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Ray, introduce Councilor Trahan. Council general accounts for the municipality of Ferris as indicated in the check register dated May 14th, 2024 in the amount of $442,747.
On favor? Yvonne Carey, thank you. The business, yes, go ahead, Councilor.
Just the conference in Sudbury was a success. It was sold out. The trade show went really well. I was a moderator for 2 presentations by OPG. And there was 1 or 2 questions. One mentioned from the floor that there was a municipality adjacent to Perry Sound that had trouble getting power, but it was more NIMBY than anything else, if I'm not mistaken. I talked to both the 3 presenters that I was moderating, and there's no shortage of power in our area. So any concerns should be allayed.
Was
and we're good to go.
was that the mayor, the lady? And she said there was an opportunity to build a big subdivision, but they didn't have enough power in order to.
Well, there's a lot of NIMBY going on. I've talked to a few people afterwards today. There's a lot of NIMBY going on in the area. And also the topography in that area is not adjacent to just putting a couple lines up because there's so many lakes and it's a rocky area. So anyway, there's no shortage of power. So any concern should be allayed. And but there was a mention that OPG is planning on doubling and tripling possibly in the next 10 to 20 years because of demand, which is going up exponentially.
One thing that was brought up was nuclear.
People don't realize nuclear is responsible for between 50 and 60% of the power of our power that we count on every day. So that's huge, you know. And I've got a meeting with nuclear waste on Thursday morning. That's in Toronto. So, anyway, but it was a big success. It was good. Good presentation.
Any further comments on the Phenom conference?
There.
Thank you, Councilor Kelly, for your work on Phenom and also into your waste.
Thank you. No, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Excellent. So we move forward to
Member Secretary. Councilor Champagne, Councilor Kelly. This meeting proceeds to in-camera session at 7:11 p.m. under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. In order to address matters pertaining to B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees regarding the volunteer recognition award nominations. B, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. H, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or a territory or current agency regarding the open.
favor.